Welcome back to Ring of Fire. I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at the Pace Law School in White Plains, New York.
And I'm Mike Papantonio in Pensacola, Florida.
Today on Ring of Fire, best-selling author Vincent Bugliosi will be joining us to talk about whether or not we should actually prosecute George W. Bush for the murder of 4,000 American soldiers. We've also got Rolling Stone magazine's Matt Taibbi, who will tell us how John McCain has ditched his former criticism of the mainstream Republican insanity and is now starting to sound exactly like the intolerant, hypocritical, and hateful people that he used to despise.
We'll also be talking with film director Peter Askin, whose latest work is a documentary about famed Hollywood film writer Dalton Trumbo. He's one of the few people in Hollywood who was willing to stand up to the government's efforts to weed out communists in America in the 1950s during the ugly McCarthy era. And political satirist Matt Filipowicz is going to be here to run down the most ridiculous stories of the past week. Everything from restroom Republican Larry Craig's defense of marriage amendment to John McCain's claim that he actually was responsible for passing the new GI Bill.
We'll also be responding to your listener emails, so if you've got a question for us, just email us at info@ringoffireradio.com, and if we respond to your email on air, we'll send you a free Go Left t-shirt.
Ring of Fire on Air America Radio Network.
Welcome back to Ring of Fire. I'm Mike Papantonio here with Bobby Kennedy. Coming up on the show, we've got even more stories about John McCain's twisted brand of conservatism. Right now, let's look at the lighter side of politics. George Bush is certainly ripe for satire almost every day of his life, and since he took office, he certainly has been ripe for satire. Political satirists have been flooding the market with great material. Joining me now to talk about some of the funniest news stories this week is founder of Headzup.tv, Matt Filipowicz. So, Matt, what's worthy of satire these days? What's happened the last couple of weeks that's worthy of satire? You nail it every time, and what are you nailing these days?
Oh, the big thing that's happened recently is, as you probably know, finally Jim Webb's 21st Century GI Bill was passed just this last couple of weeks. Now, the old GI Bill dated back to pretty much World War II, and it guaranteed money for like a 4-year college education for returning troops. The problem was that under today's standards, the pricing structure also dated back to World War II. so your vets coming back today from Iraq or Afghanistan, they just couldn't afford to attend college under the bill.
Yeah. But you know, the irony, it's just outrageous. The story is you had McCain that fought this every corner, didn't even show up for the vote, and what did he do?
No, exactly. I mean, you obviously think, hey, a college education is like the least we could be doing for our returning troops. Who on earth could possibly oppose it?
Right.
Of course, John McCain did. He was literally like the loudest voice next to Bush pretty much against the bill, claiming it would hurt like retention rates, and pretty much ignoring studies which showed that the actual incentive of a college education would actually increase enlistments because it's it's something that would, hey, if I join the Army, I get a college education.
Yeah, well, these are two people never worried about a college education. I mean, when you come from wealthy families, it's, you don't think about that, and it's just unimportant.
Right.
But for George Bush to do anything, for George Bush to be saying anything that in any way interferes with these people to do, with these soldiers, these veterans, to be able to do better in their lives is just disgusting. It's nauseating.
It's the whole support our troops by treating them like dirt argument.
Yeah.
But it's fine. McCain, he opposed the bill. He didn't even, like you said, even bother to show up for the vote. That's fine. But again, now he's actually taking credit for its passage. And he's talking about how he fought for the bill and not against it, which kind of leads me to ask, is it a flip-flop? Does he think nobody's noticing that he actually changed his position? Is he just lying? Or the other possibility is that maybe it's a senior moment. We all know McCain's kind of getting up there.
72 years old, you forget stuff like, Lynn, was I actually there that day? Or
maybe he honestly
what did I say that day?
Maybe he honestly just doesn't remember that he opposed it.
Yeah.
It's
but
mystery.
I'll tell you what else he knows. The term LIV, low information voters. Isn't it perfect? Because you have these people that never followed the issue that all of a sudden he says, I voted for this, I pushed it through, it was my idea. these LIVs, they say, well, I guess so, and so it's sellable.
Yeah, he's flip-flopping on so much stuff. And sometimes within the same sentence, he flip-flops from one position to the other, be it for immigration, for Bush's tax cuts, for all this stuff. But he's not getting called out for any of it.
Yeah. So what else you got? What else is satire worthy in your mind, Matt?
Man, it never stops. There's so much. It's just ridiculous. We'll stick on Iraq here for a second. Bush and McCain and all the neocons have all along been saying about the Iraq war that we cannot set a timetable for withdrawal. We can't.
Right.
Anyone who wants to set a timetable is setting a timetable for defeat. They want America to lose. Mm-hmm. They want America to let Iran and Al-Qaeda take over Iraq, even though Iran and Al-Qaeda are sworn enemies and they hate each other. But that's what they want. But so this week, who comes out and says we need a timetable for withdrawal? Iraq's own Prime Minister, Nouri al-Maliki.
Yeah.
And so maybe someone needs to ask al-Maliki, why do you want America to lose?
Well, I got to tell you something. The problem I see with that request is we've spent $1 billion on an embassy. That doesn't look like somebody that's ready to leave.
Right.
We're giving the Hunt family all kinds of inroads to the oil business there, which is the reason we're there.
Right.
We have 20 bases now that we've built. We've spent billions of dollars. Does that sound like somebody who's going to leave? I mean,
it's a bad sign when your own puppet government that you installed turns on you and asks you to leave.
Yeah.
You think they ask us they want us out. They want us out. We should just pack up and get going. But of course, now that they've asked, we of course say, what? Oh no, that was just a lie. We weren't really serious because Bush last year in April said that if al-Maliki asked, we would go. And now of course we're saying, oh, of course not. We weren't serious.
The new argument, don't you? The new argument, like when they caught Bush lying about the fact that he had given the Hunt family inroads to be able to bid on work there in the oil fields.
Right.
When they caught him lying, he basically came out. I mean, the position of the State Department was, well, basically these people are too stupid to make decisions for themselves. So we're going to be the kind brother, and we're going to make decisions for them. And we
have all the expertise. Clearly, these people have no idea how to run any of the stuff in their own country.
They don't know how to drop a contract. They don't know how to run an oil well.
Even though they're a sovereign nation supposedly, but clearly they can't make decisions for themselves.
But this is the argument, though. It doesn't make any difference that they want us to leave. Now, Bush of all people. Judging stupidity, Bush of all people has judged now that these people are too stupid to take care of themselves.
You know what's crazy though too, and it turns out like that's not like the only sign of like the bad communication and trust breaking down between us and the Iraqi government. It turns out we're actually using our spy satellites, the satellites that are supposed to be spying on the enemies of America, to track the movements of the Iraqi military, who are supposedly our allies.
Boy, that's trust. Hey, let's take a short commercial break. We're going to be right back, Matt.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll be right back. Stay with us. Mike Papantonio and Bobby Kennedy on Ring of Fire right here on Air America Radio.
Heads up.
Hey, people ask me, Woody, how's McCain doing? I gotta say, McCain's doing it right. He knew his campaign was heading in the wrong direction, so he hired a new political director, Mike DeHame, who ran my campaign. And we all know how great my campaign went, huh? What the hell's McCain thinking? I know, let's hire the guy who ran one of the worst campaigns in history. What was Mark Penn busy? Friggin' idiot.
Ring of Fire is back on the air.
Okay, good evening, America, and welcome aboard.
Ring of Fire.
We're back on Ring of Fire. I'm Mike Papantonio. I'm here with Bobby Kennedy. Right now, we're talking with Headzup creator and cartoonist Matt Filipowicz about satire. What are the issues that he thinks are worthy of satire? Still talking about what's going on in Iraq. Left it with the idea that here we are, Allied troops, that we're actually going using state-of-the-art technology to spy on those Allied troops and find out what they're up to. What does the government say? How do they justify it? I mean, what do they say to the Iraqis about?
What do they say to the Iraqis? I don't think they really care what they say to the Iraqis. They just kind of ignore it and say, well, what they say is, well, it's a good sign that we're tracking them because they're more they're independent now. See, they're able to, we can't trust them. They're doing stuff on their own.
We just want to make sure they're doing it right.
Again,
they're stupid.
No,
they're stupid.
Precisely.
If we track them, we can make sure that these stupid people don't do anything too stupid.
It's like a guy who thinks his girlfriend is cheating on him, so he hires a private detective to spy on his girlfriend,
and then he's caught.
Exactly. In case the girlfriend's an army, and the detective is like a multi-billion-dollar spy satellite.
Right. Okay. What else you got? What else is out there that you have felt we needed to do some satire? You've done satires on each one of these, but what else do you have?
Well, this is one of my favorite ones. Actually, 2 Republican senators have decided to co-sponsor the Marriage Protection Amendment, which would amend the Constitution to say that marriage can only be between a man and a woman. Republicans being scared of gays, what's new? That's always happening. But
it's always been they love to focus on the sex issue, don't they?
Exactly. But what's great about this story is the 2 senators. The first one is Larry Craig, the foot-tapping, wide-stancing senator from Ohio, who was, of course, arrested last year in the Minnesota airport men's room for trying to have sex with an undercover policeman.
But he's the guy actually sponsoring this, correct?
He is sponsoring it, yeah. He's sponsoring it along with Louisiana's own David Vitter, who, again, was also identified as a client of the D.C. Madam prostitute ring. And also he allegedly, is a client of hookers in his home state of...
several in Louisiana. I mean,
Louisiana, it's good.
He knew them by first name, man. He's rattling them off.
Really, I mean, but it's good he has some in Louisiana, too. I mean, if you're going to pay women to have sex with you, at least you can contribute something to the local economy and stuff,
So with a straight face, these guys are really... They've come up with a bill... And it's dubbed the Marriage Protection Amendment.
Correct. Yeah.
And Senator Larry Craig says that this is an important issue for him.
Precisely. And David Vitter. I mean, it's fine. I personally myself, whatever someone wants to do in their bedroom, their bathroom, their bordello.
But this is a pretty big contradiction. And
it's a bit of a hypocrisy going on here. They were sure that the amendment doesn't ban sex with hookers or men in airport bathrooms, so they're fine with it.
There were the exceptions there, right?
Exactly. That was specifically left out of the amendment, so that they're safe as far as that goes.
All right. Well, look, Matt, as usual, it's always a pleasure, and these stories. Let's keep talking about it. Bobby and I, as you know, we do some of the news that the news media never talks about.
Right.
But these are stories that when you listen to the facts. You almost tell yourself this has to be put into some kind of satire, and you do a great job doing exactly that. So thanks for joining us, Matt.
Thanks, Pap.
Matt Filipowicz is founder of Headzup.tv, and you can watch a fresh Headzup cartoon every day of the week on golef.tv.